You're done DMing your trade.
What if I don't want to fucking finish DMing my trade, bitch?
Are you reading your lines off of that?
Are we recording this
Are
right
you
now,
off
by the
book?
way? Why the fuck would I get off texting trade? Don't ever try to confront me about texting trade when you're sitting there looking like that. No shade. When you're sitting here looking like that, no shade.
Never wear my Lil Orphan Annie wig and pull it off like me.
I would, girl. Don't make me call Kalista.
Oh, call Kalista.
Don't make me call my mother.
You probably don't even have her number. You don't even have her number, I bet. Si, c'est la vie. Shablam, shablam, chic, c'est la vie. Shablam, shablam.
No shade. Let's give it up for Countess Lou and Della
Hey, leave a comment below, Countess. We love you.
And keep on serving cunt. You got to put that in your mix if you do.
Oh.
She has a video of her where she's doing like a cameo.
Yeah.
And I think in the cameo request, they asked her to say like, tell my friend to keep on serving cunt. And so in the video, she goes, and you better keep on serving cunt. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't know what she's saying.
She is a character. I mean? Yes, I got booked to do a Housewives-themed birthday party this weekend. Did you just throw that in the garbage? What was that?
Did everyone see
phone?
the Shablammers see that? I literally just threw something off screen and it fell into a trash can.
Wow. Because she trash, you garbage. Where it belongs. Chic, c'est la vie. Shablam.
Wait.
Shablam. Chic, c'est la vie. Shablam. Shablam. Let's just start there.
No, I want everyone to hear about how you talk to me about texting my trade. I want everyone to hear that. So that's where we're starting the episode. No shade.
You are going back to Dallas. You got to get that in the books.
I texted my Dallas trade today, and he literally could not give less of a fuck.
Like you have his actual number? Or
yes, I do.
Oh, he left you on red?
He didn't leave me on red, but I messaged him being like, hey, like, I'm going to be there this weekend. I'm going to be available Friday and Saturday night. Like, let me know if you'd be down to link. And he was like, oh, yeah, for sure. I'll let you know.
Oh, that's a no.
Yeah. I was like, damn, what'd I do?
Uh-oh.
What'd I do? You go out of town for one day, for 3 weeks, and all of a sudden they don't want anything to do with you anymore.
Just wait. Friday night rolls around. He'll be texting.
Oh, yeah. Well, once he gets enough drinks in him, once he and all his friends are out and about. I said this on the podcast. I'm pretty sure he's like ran through.
Yeah, you did say that many times. I think
yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I it's the truth. Nothing wrong with being ran through. By the way.
Some of
the hottest guys are ran through. That's why they're ran through. It's because everybody wants them. No shame.
Exactly. I love a ran through gentleman.
Are you ran through? No.
I mean, what is your definition of ran through? Should we get into it?
I mean, like when you were obviously you're with your beautiful boyfriend Brandon now.
Hi, Brandon. I love you.
Oh, Brandon. I love Brandon, by the way. But before you met Brandon,
yes.
What was your sex life like? Were you like really active? Were you multiple partners?
Yes.
Just a couple of guys, a roster?
Yes, for Shablammers. For those who are maybe just joining us in season 2, I came out very late. So I came out at 30.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a long-term relationship with a woman for 4 years. We lived together.
That's right.
So I had, like, when I was together with her, we had a lot of sex. And then once we broke up, yeah. Because I lost my virginity to her. So she was like my first.
This is just more and more lore that opens up. We've literally had an episode about this.
We have. Season 1, Sex and Dating. Go back and check it out if you haven't seen it.
Such a great episode. Mm-hmm. And also, weirdly, one of our least popular episodes from season 1.
Yeah, the Sex and Dating. I thought that would have went off more.
I thought y'all would have loved that.
I know.
Y'all would have gone off on that.
You don't want to hear about our sex lives? 2 beautiful, gorgeous, fabulous drag queens?
I mean, come on, look at us.
Look at us. You don't want to hear how we get down?
Hear about how we get down. No shade.
Well, so after Megan, I had, like, I wasn't out yet. I was still, like, thought I was straight. And I basically didn't have sex until grad school. And then, like, at the end, I hooked up with a woman at grad school.
Uh-huh.
And then
I know her.
She's
on the national tour of Cats.
That's Megan. That's the first one.
Oh, sorry, Megan.
That's the second
I'm trying to keep track of this
roster.
I know.
I
just can't keep track of it.
And then once I fast forward to when I came out, I lived in LA, lived in West Hollywood, joined a gay dodgeball team, and then I sowed my wild oats, as they say. So in that time period, I think you would have considered me ran through. Yes.
Oh my God.
But I had fun. I was like had so little sex for so long that I made up for it. And plus, like, sex with men is different. So it was like, a new fun experience. And, you know, I have some stories to tell. Maybe we'll save that for the Patreon. But yeah, I had my fair share.
That's so interesting.
Yes.
Because I've never had sex with a woman. So like for you,
Really?
like, yeah, any kind of woman. So like for me, what was that process like for you? Because it seems like you said you were having a lot of sex, no?
With her specifically.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a lot of sex with women after that.
So
Maybe like 3 or 4.
was it a type of thing where you never felt fully satisfied from it? Or was it
No.
just
I enjoyed it. Yeah, we had great sex, I thought. I mean, I didn't have anything to compare it to at that point, but yeah.
Was there ever like a sexual inkling that led you to be like, well, maybe I'm attracted to men?
Honestly, I think it was kind of, it was like there, but not there. Like if I look back at my childhood, there was like a kid who I did theater with all the time, who looking back on it, like I always wanted to see where he was. I thought I was like just jealous of him, but I think I had a little crush on him.
Oh.
But like I was never like, because I went to gay bars and stuff in New York. Obviously, I was in musical theater, so I knew a lot of gay people.
Yeah.
But I was never like, oh, I wish I could fuck that person. I just kind of like turned it off, I think. My like whole sexuality. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Because even like when I first had sex with her, I was very guilty. Because my whole thing was like no sex before marriage. It's a sin. So I was planning to like wait until marriage.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I felt guilty as fuck after the first time we had sex. And
maybe you were confusing that feeling with not enjoying it, or
maybe because oh my god, this is TMI, and I don't know if we can cut this, but like we had sex for the first time. I was in junior in college.
Okay.
So once we had sex, I was really guilty, but we kept having sex for like maybe a month after that, and then all of a sudden I couldn't get hard anymore.
Okay.
So for like 4 or 5 months, we tried and I just couldn't do it. Maybe I don't know if it was that long, maybe like a month or 2, but it seemed like a long time because I never had that issue before. I was like 20, and I was like, at that point, I think a little tick of my brain was like, "What's going on? Am I gay?" But I also was like, I think it's just because I'm so guilty about the religious aspect of it all. But then one day it worked. And then after that, for the next 4 years, it had no issues and we had sex all the time. And I felt fulfilled. I enjoyed it. She was very happy. And she had sex with other people before. So she had something to compare it to. Yeah. And then once I like came out and living in LA, I kind of like went crazy.
The human brain is so interesting.
It really is.
Because I've always...
Yeah, tell me. You knew
I
you were
lost
gay.
my virginity to a man.
Right.
And ever since then, I had sex with men. You know what I mean?
Did you always know you were gay, like from when you
I was 12 years old. I was 12 years old. I was in English class, and there was a kid sitting next to me. His name was Ethan Schaefer, and he was this really cute boy, and he had like blonde hair and like freckles, and he was very like surfer-y.
Yeah.
And I remember one story he told me he really liked eating peanut butter. He was like, I remember this being like so attractive to me. He looked at me, he was like, "It's actually really good for you." He was like, "The peanut butter is actually really good for you. Like, it's a good fat, so you can eat as much as you want of it, and like as long as you burn it off, like it's actually really good for you."
This is at 12.
I was 12 years old, and I was like, "This kid is so hot." Oh my god! Wait, I shouldn't say that on the podcast, but as a 12-year-old,
right?
That's what I meant. Yeah. And I remember being like, "I think I have a crush on him," and then I was like, I remember thinking like, I think I might be in some capacity queer. I went on the bisexual bridge, where I like identified as bisexual for a little while, which actually now in hindsight is more true because I consider myself like pansexual now. You know what I mean?
Well,
but all of my partners have been men, whether cis or trans. I've always had partners that were men. I've like dabbled with trans women before, but in terms of like my sex life, I've always had sex with men. You know what I mean? And I remember, to wrap that up, I remember being 12, sitting next to this boy, being like, "I think I'm gay," and kind of just thinking like nothing of it, just being like, and I think that might just be also like generational difference, but I remember thinking like, there's nothing wrong with that. I think I'm still learning about myself, and like I could see it as a potential option, and I think I just need to wait longer to figure it out. But I was doing theater, and I was around a lot of people who were queer, you know what I mean? And especially like older people who were queer, so I think I might have mentioned this before in another podcast episode, but when I came out, my parents' concern wasn't that I was gay. It was the fact that I was saying it at such a young age, and they just wanted to make sure that I was really sure of it before. I was saying it at a time before I even was having any sex.
Right.
So they were just kind of like, are you sure? You know what I mean? It's not that they had any problem with it, but I grew up in Orange County, which can be a pretty conservative area, and they didn't want me going around telling people I was gay if I didn't really mean it.
And you were the youngest of 3 sons.
Yeah, and both my older brothers are straight, as far as I know.
Hey. Leave a comment below, her brothers, if you want to come out. It's a perfect time.
It's a perfect time.
Was that little boy from your class gay?
No way. I'd never acted on it or anything. I just remember recognizing it as like, I think he's cute. You know what I mean?
Do you know what he's up to now?
I don't know. Should I try looking it up?
You can if you want. I don't know if we have to do it on the pod, but who is your first like celebrity crush? Do you remember? Because I remember, you're probably too young for the show Home Improvement, or do you know who Jonathan Taylor Thomas is?
No, not Jonathan.
Anyone who's like a millennial knows who Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Alex, do you know who he is? Hello. He was like all the girls had a crush on him. Very like Tim Allen is like son, the middle one. He was in like movies and shit. He became like a star for that time period. But I remember being like, oh, I like him. But I never let myself be like it's sexual or like romantic. I was always like, he's my favorite one. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah, I think I watched a lot of like Disney Channel and stuff growing up. So I always had like crushes on like older brother characters. Like I watched Wizards of Waverly Place. I loved I forgot his name, the actor's name. I'm pretty sure he's problematic now. But he was really hot on that show. He was the older brother on Wizards of Waverly Place. I remember that. I would say like my first big celebrity crush, the one that I like hooked on to was like Bradley Cooper.
Oh, really?
I had a really big crush on Bradley Cooper. I still do. I think he's handsome. You know what I mean?
When did you first see him? Like what was...
It would have been Guardians of the Galaxy or something like that.
Oh, that late. Okay.
I know. Well, that's a voice acting thing, but that's when I first got into Silver Linings Playbook. Isn't he in that?
Yeah. That was his like first big thing, I think.
Yeah. And I was in acting school, so I had kids and stuff that would come and do scenes from Silver Linings Playbooks, and I knew that he was in that. So I was like, that's really cute. I'm trying to see if I can find anything on Ethan Schaefer. I might have to look him up later.
Oh yeah, we can keep us posted.
But what was your roster like once you got into having sex with men and you were living in Los Angeles?
Okay, so that like I said, it was so much easier too for me because I was like when I would go out to bars or something, I never felt comfortable hitting on women. So I would always like be nice to them and be friendly with them, but I would never like, I don't know.
Okay, wait, sorry, not to interrupt this, but I did find him.
On Instagram?
I found him on LinkedIn.
Okay, and?
He's still so cute. He's my type. No shade. You're going to laugh. You're going to laugh. You're going to be like, oh my God, Lorelei.
You do have a type. Yes.
At least I'm consistent.
He's cute. I wonder if he still likes peanut butter. You should text and ask. He could be gay. He has that gay guy mustache.
He has the gay guy mustache. He works in film production, marketing.
Oh, he could be gay.
He is definitely giving possible gay guy vibes.
Oh.
That is so funny.
Isn't that the guy who plays SpongeBob's name? Ethan Schaefer?
No, his name is, that's Ethan, Ethan
Slater.
Oh,
okay.
Who I don't think is with Ariana Grande anymore.
Oh, well.
And they're still working together on that freaking movie.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see the trailer for
No, I haven't. Did it come out?
We should go see that together.
Oh, yeah. I'd be down.
Yeah. That's going to be all the way in November, though.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes.
Okay. All right. So back to rant. Would you have considered yourself ran through? I feel like you're more prude than people would think.
Yeah, I am more prude than people would think. Yeah. You know what it is I'm picky. I don't drop pants for anybody.
Right.
I got to be in the right mood. The right energy from someone.
Yeah.
I do have to be attracted to them like right off the bat. You know what I mean? I'm on Grindr and stuff, and like I have hookups, but I feel like people always think that everyone around them is having more sex than they actually are. I feel like the common mentality for people is probably like, oh my God, everyone's having more sex than me. And I'm sure there are probably a couple more people who are having more sex than me, but I would feel like in general, like I don't think that the people around us are having as much sex as we think that they are.
I never really think about it.
I sometimes think about it in the context of like, I know that my friends have like a lot of grinder stories or like funny like sex stories or something like that, and like mine are more like few and far between. You know what I mean?
Right, but they probably are more ran through than you.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if we're talking about like, never mind. I was about to drop names. Never mind.
Do it.
No,
we want to know.
No
the
shade.
Shablammers want to know.
No shade. Let's just say that there's been multiple characters that have been mentioned on this podcast who I think might be having more sex than...
I see.
Yeah.
I see. What do you consider ran through? Like, is there a number?
All I know is that when I was in Dallas and I was talking to this guy, we were hanging out at a bar, and I like bought him a drink and stuff, and we were talking and chatting, and he was very polite. I'm not trying to make it sound like he was being rude to me or anything, but he had a lot of friends that were coming up to him to say hello again.
Okay.
And that it was good to see him again. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, you either come to... Listen, I'm a drag queen, so when I go to the bar, like, everybody know me, but not because I'm having sex with everybody. They see me, they see the Lorelei experience on stage, and they want the meet and greet. No shade.
Hey.
But I could tell that they had a energy about them. That they were being coy with him.
Did you ask him about it? Or were you like joking, like, who are all these guys,
no,
Mr. Popular?
It's not really my business, and I'm in Dallas for at the time I was in Dallas for one night, and I just met him, and I was I was trying to get in his pants. Well, so I didn't really give a fuck. I wasn't
there you go.
If it was a date or something and I was trying to like get to really know him and that kept happening, I would maybe be like, I don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Low-key, like I was trying to do the same shit that everybody else was trying to do. So like I can't judge them for like coming up to him trying to like, I don't know if they wanted to like swoop or what, but like I can't really blame them either way.
Hey. So, okay. You didn't answer my question.
What? Do I consider myself ran through?
Well, that question, but also like, what do you consider ran through? Like more than one person?
I don't think it's a number.
Month?
I think it's an energy.
Okay.
I think it's an energy that you have.
Okay.
I think if you're out in public and multiple people are coming up to you, I think that kind of gives a vibe of like...
But you don't know for sure that they like hooked up. They could have, who knows?
Well, you know someone who would actually know a lot about this is Peach Bliss.
Oh.
Because sometimes Peach Bliss be the most ran through bitch on a lineup.
Ah, Peach!
On a drag lineup. She's the queen of the Kai.
Really?
No shade.
With other queens.
That's what Kai means.
I know, but I was just, not all of our Shablammers might be up on the lingo. So
she was once booked on a show with me. I don't want to like spill like other people's sex lives, but like.
But you will, Peach.
Well, Peach and I went on 2 dates before she started drag.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No, I knew about another queen you dated before drag.
We both, well, not before I started drag. I was doing drag and we matched on Tinder and we went on 2 dates before I was like, I think you're cool. I think we're friends. You know what I mean? And Peach was like, yeah, totally, I agree. And so it was totally fine. And then Peach started doing drag.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But there was one time when we were on a show together and I was booked along with Peach, along with another person from Peach's history. And I literally in the dressing room, I was like, damn, Peach, not you being the most ran through bitch on the fucking cast. Like... And we joked about that for a little while. And
that's funny.
So if we want to ask about being ran through, we should probably message Peach.
Okay. I think you would have considered me ran through.
Really?
Yeah. I was having my fun.
Yeah.
And I did. I'm glad I had that experience, though.
I think ran through also implies...
It's like a negative, but I don't think so.
No, it's not a negative. I think it implies a frequency within a close-knit community. Because I think like someone who has a lot of sex often... is different from someone who has a lot of sex often with a specific pool of people.
Got it. That makes more sense. Well, you were in Dallas, so the gay population there, I would imagine, that's a major city.
I was in Dallas, and we were at one bar, and all these guys came up to us at one bar.
Right, so they all probably frequent that bar.
Same with Peach, who frequents a lot of people within like the nightlife, drag scene here in LA. That's what I mean. I think that implies more of a ran-throughness than just having a lot of sex with anyone. I basically say, I would say that I have sex at least like once a week now with this traveling.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? Does that make me ran through? I don't think so, because I'm going through like all these different places. Do you know what I mean?
But
I also don't think that sex once a week is a lot of sex. I don't think that's a lot.
No, I don't think so either. But if you do it by the numbers, at the end of 2 years, it would be over 100 people. So one might think that's a lot of people.
One might think that's a lot of people, but I think it's a difference between 100 people all over the country or 100 people in Los Angeles, in the nightlife scene, or like in... Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
By the way... Nothing wrong with being ran through. We are sex positive on this freaking podcast.
Hello, I love sex.
Sometimes, like, if anything, Annie and I could afford to be more ran through. No shade.
Well, speak for yourself.
Oh, Annie's into committed partnerships.
Yes, I get it on the regular.
And they play together.
Hello.
Am I allowed to talk about that?
I guess. I don't know. Let's see what Brandon says.
Well, it was already mentioned. No shade.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So
anyway, we got off on that little fun topic.
Yeah.
Anything else to wrap that up?
I don't think so. Should we just dive into like the updates that the people are waiting for?
Yes,
your shows, my shows?
Yes. Well,
you start.
Okay, yeah, mine's pretty quick. I just had my, mostly I think my regular gigs this week. Free Clinic last week was Broadway and Ballads with Ayanna Shaw, who I absolutely adore.
Yeah,
she's one of my,
she's really, really
she's
great.
literally one of my favorite queens in LA. She actually is a new Shablammer. So hi, Ayanna. She said she listened to a bunch of them and she fell asleep by accident to last week's Appalachian Forest episode and had some crazy ass dreams. So she's upset with us about that.
Wait, not us hexing her kind of. That was an accident. Shablammers, make sure that when you listen, you're wide awake.
Hello.
Because you don't want to be dropping in on an episode and then wake up to something that might not be welcoming.
That last week's was a little scary, Shablammers.
Last week we dived into something kind of scary.
A few people kind of messaged me and were like, ooh, I live near, one queen, Portia Fox, she used to live out here, I think.
Oh, okay.
She lives out there now and she's like, I live near it and it is freaky.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so see, but this is what it's all about. This is what Shablam is all about. We are journalists, we are investigators, we're getting to the bottom of the culture and we're reporting it to a very active audience.
Hello.
A very active and growing audience, I should say. No shade. And if you're new, make sure that you're subscribing, leave a comment, make some freaking noise.
Yeah,
no shade.
Share our reels and comments and
we love hearing from you guys. Seriously.
Yeah. Also, are you going to anywhere near the Appalachian Forest on your tour?
We're gonna be.
Okay, so you definitely need to.
I can report live from the scene. No shade.
Yes, you should. All right. So Free Clinic was fun. Broadway and Ballads, which is I really love that theme, and the performers in LA love it because there's not a lot of opportunities to get to do that kind of thing in LA.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always a little worried that the audience is going to be like, oh God, now I have to sit through 2 numbers of Grease and then a ballad. But people lived. They loved it. Yeah. We had a good group, a good cast. People did high energy numbers mixed in with the ballad. So it's a good time. Ayanna did one of my favorite songs that she performs from Waitress. She Used to Be Mine. Do you know that? Do you know Waitress?
She did that?
Yes.
I love that song.
She does it.
It's definitely a ballad.
I requested it from her because I've seen her do it before.
Oh,
it's
really?
so good. She really can. She's one of those performers. You're like this too. I feel like I'm kind of like this to toot my own horn, but we can kind of perform any genre. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Ayanna's really good at musicals, but she does pop and she can do kind of anything. And then what else?
You went to San Diego this weekend?
Oh yes, Girly Pop Brunch.
So first, the Shablammers who are new.
Yes, fill them in.
Annie spreads the gospel of Shablam here in Los Angeles.
Yes. Boots on the ground.
A boots on the ground Shablam representative, while I am a traveling Shablam
brand ambassador.
And I am part of a traveling drag team.
Yes.
We produce a Taylor Swift drag brunch, which I actually have some tea about.
Okay, yes.
I gotta tell you about this.
Yeah.
So put a pin in that.
Okay.
But Annie is in charge of the, what would you even call it? I guess the second cast or the second
sister. I would call it the sister brunch. The sister
brunch. Yeah, the sister brunch of the Taylor Swift Eras Tour drag brunch, which is the Pop Girlies.
Girly Pop Brunch.
Girly Pop.
Yes.
Drag brunch.
So it'll be expanding, but the one that we are working on now is Chapel Roan and Sabrina Carpenter.
We work under our producer Eric. Hi, Eric.
Hey, Eric.
Eric does an excellent job producing these brunches. Obviously, he started up the Taylor Swift one, and it went super well. And now we're traveling, so he's attempting, and I think he's doing a good job of making a sister show, maybe more sister shows.
Because people are asking, they're like, the places you do it, because you were only doing it once a month, maybe, or when you're in a town. People are asking for more to come back. So we're trying to fill those needs.
And so they might be, what they want. You never know, they might be on their very own tours soon.
Yeah. So we hit up San Diego. It was our second time doing it. We had Tiara Dactyl and Karen Beaches as our Chapel Roans. They were both amazing. And then Sweet Tea and Miss Cherry Superstar, who lives near Palm Springs, as Sabrina Carpenter. They were both amazing as well. But yeah, the crowd loved it. San Diego was so cute. I wish I had more time to spend in it because there are a lot of little vintage stores around there.
Yeah, San Diego's cool.
And the food was great. The staff there was lovely. It was a good time.
Yeah, I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
it's a hard show and it's a big audience.
It's a lot.
So I think that you're doing a good job keeping it on its feet.
Yeah, I'm trying to fill Eric's pumps.
Okay, no shade.
Okay. And then you were in Texas.
I went to Houston,
Ooh,
Texas.
Home of Beyonce.
We've been in Texas for a long time. Or I've
Yeah.
been traveling back and forth to Texas for a long time now. Obviously, I'm going back to Dallas this weekend. And then the weekend after that, two weekends after that, I'm going to be going to Austin.
Oh, right.
I'm taking a weekend off.
I love Austin.
I'm excited. I've never been to Austin.
Oh, you're going to love it.
It's going to be really, really
It's
fun.
going to be hot, though. When are you going? In
Middle
July?
of June.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be pretty hot.
It's going to be hot. I mean, it was
okay.
hot in Houston.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was hot in Houston.
Really?
Yeah. Wigs, makeup, just everything falling apart. But I mean, I had a really nice time. Restaurant stuff was really great. Definitely the most conservative of the cities that I had been to so far.
Okay. How did that present itself?
It kind of presented itself, like we walk around and stuff. We perform in restaurants in public.
Yeah. It's not like a gay club.
Yeah. So, and it's during the day.
Right.
So we're walking around like these public spaces where there are restaurants and people. We're walking around there with like full faces of makeup and like sweatpants or whatever we want to wear, like in transit to the gig.
Oh, gotcha.
And we definitely got a lot more looks, I feel like. And we definitely got like a lot more looks. I'll just describe it. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay.
But
you could probably could you feel like an energy?
Yeah,
like
I guess that's why I took the silence, because I was trying to think about how I wanted to say it. But yeah, it was just kind of like an energy. It's funny that we do the 2 shows. We'll do a Saturday show and a Sunday show. And the Sunday show always goes up like a lot more. Like the audience always has like a lot more energy than the Saturday show. And we'd been noticing that as we were moving through Texas, and we were like, why is that? And it kept happening. And we had an audience member come who really loved the show, and she was sitting down with us like afterwards and talking to us.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's because all the churchgoers come to the show on Saturday, so that they can go to church on Sunday. And then all the people that really want to see the show, we come on Sunday, and this is our church.
That makes a lot of sense, because I always forget that Taylor Swift is like, everyone loves her. Like a lot of conservative people, religious people like her.
So it was just interesting because it kept happening, and we couldn't figure out why it kept happening. But when she explained it to us like that, I was like, that makes so much sense. Everyone's at church.
Are there more kids on the Saturday shows, you think, than Sunday?
No,
because they might be conservative and going to church, but they're still going to a drag show in Houston. So.
Well, we were more so talking about their energy. Like they don't scream and yell and get up in the drag brunch energy as much as like the Sunday show. You know what I mean? So
makes sense.
So it's just a little bit quieter of an audience, which isn't a bad thing. It's just an observation that we made. But it was after she explained that, I thought that was so interesting, and I was like, that is actually probably exactly correct.
What about the tips? Do you notice a difference in the tips based on
for sure? The Sunday shows are always more excited.
Yeah,
they're just more excited.
Yeah,
more noise, more money, everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Not that I'm over here counting and like being like,
no, but you can tell.
I can tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
All the girlfriend groups, they come out on Sunday. It's like a proper Sunday brunch. You know what I mean?
Well, people are more accustomed, especially in cities like that, I would imagine, to going to brunch on a Sunday rather than a Saturday.
Yeah.
In LA, we have drag brunches
every other day, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so you had fun in Houston.
Yeah, Houston was really cute. That was another city where I kind of laid low a lot more.
Yeah,
I was really tired this weekend. I had a lot to do.
Yeah,
I had a lot of energy that I had to save up for Project Drag this week.
Okay, do we want to get into that? Anything else about Taylor Swift, or shall we move on?
Nothing about Taylor Swift. I'll update y'all about Dallas, whether or not I get my trade or not. No shade.
Oh yeah, I want to bring the poppers this time.
Oh yeah. Okay, I gotta remember
you have to.
Yeah.
And then you said there was tea or something about the Taylor Swift thing first. Do you want to talk about that now?
They talked about our tour on Very Delta.
Oh yes, Shablammers. There's this other podcast hosted by Delta Work. It's fabulous. I recommend, called Very Delta.
Yes, go ahead and go stream Very Delta.
Yeah. So it was one of the recent episode.
She has a segment where viewers can write in.
Read Me Delta.
Called Read Me Delta, and they can ask any question or ask for advice, and the idea is that Delta will read them if necessary.
Yeah.
And there was a disgruntled audience member who wrote in about our show. And the only reason why I know it was our show is because they mentioned a Taylor Swift drag brunch, and they mentioned the ticket price.
Right.
And I know it's our show.
Yeah. What other Taylor Swift drag brunch is there right now?
Exactly. It was basically, the question was something along the lines of like, should we always expect drag performers to know the words which was a crazy call out. I know she, and here's the thing, Shablammers, before we get into any of this, I know she ain't talking about me. One thing about me, bitch, I will know my fucking words, no shade.
Especially because y'all have been doing that. I don't know when that letter was wrritten, but you've been doing that for now a few months.
I know. Well, I was
you should know the words by now.
When it came in, I was like, I would be dying to know, like, at what show this person saw, but they seemed disgruntled over the fact that allegedly, I'm gonna say allegedly because she didn't mention names, so I don't know who the hell she's talking about. That we didn't know our words, or she was like, should I expect, if I pay this much for the ticket and this much for the food and this much for tipping the queens, is it fair to assume that the queens should know the words? Mm-hmm. And of course the answer is yes.
Yeah.
But the question is, who is she talking about? And at what show is she talking about? Now, I will say this. I always knew my words. Day one, I knew my words of this show. And I know that because Eric, our producer, came up to me and was like, thank you for knowing your words.
Yes.
No shade. And I know that some drag queens have a harder time learning their words than others.
Yes, that's true.
So I would just be interested to know who she's talking about.
And
I know it ain't me.
Those mixes are long. They're like 10 to 15 minutes each.
They're 10 to 15 minutes each.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I try to give people a little bit of grace if they're like flubbing a word here and there. It's like, it happens. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot going on when you're doing drag. But enough to call it out, it must have been more than just a few missed syllables.
Yeah, I don't know. The hard thing too is that I'm not able to watch closely at the other performers doing their numbers. So I really don't know.
Well, Eric used to, Eric makes me film everyone, at least for the first couple. So
yeah, I'm
sure there is evidence somewhere, Shablammers. Maybe that's how we'll get our Peabody.
If any Shablammers are interested in an investigative job, they could go in on these videos and try to see who it is that did not know their words.
So what did Delta say?
I think she basically said the same thing. She was like, yeah, obviously they should know their words. And then she gave an anecdote though about how one time she was performing and this does happen sometimes too. The music matters and being able to hear the music matters.
Yes.
And it's really frustrating for us as drag performers when we can't hear the music because that's what it looks like in front of the audience is that like we don't know the words or something.
But, it's like we can't hear.
Sometimes the music, the way it matters where the speakers are positioned and everything, because if the speakers are positioned in front of us and they're going out, we can't hear that well behind a speaker or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, especially in a restaurant setting where they're not set up for that. You know what I mean? And it's one thing in a nightclub, they know more what to expect or what's going to happen.
And we have had shows where the sound was really difficult and we had technical difficulties and we did the show anyway. I remember one Vegas show where the music was extremely quiet to a point where like I could hear myself.
I hate that. Yeah.
Lip syncing. You know what I mean? Or like my shoes, like.
Yeah. Like you're like doing digital drag where you're doing like
literally I was like doing digital drag. I remember there was one Vegas show like that. So I'd be interested to know if maybe it was from Vegas. But yeah, in general, drag queens should know their words.
Of course,
like have some grace if the circumstances make sense. You know what I mean? But of course, in general, drag queens should always know their words.
People are watching.
Speaking of people knowing their words.
Oh yes, Project Drag of it all.
That seems to not be a priority anymore at Project Drag. No shade.
Okay, let's get into this. I, again, was not there. So you're going to have to fill me in.
You need to go.
I know, I'm coming.
So you can report it to the Shablammers.
I'm busy, y'all. I'm booked and blessed. What can I say, Shablammers? I'm going to come next week, though, for TV personalities. I'm excited about that.
That's right. Next week is TV personalities. But this last week was girl groups.
And what week are we at now? 7, 8?
That was week 7.
Okay.
So we're about to go into week 8.
Okay.
Yes. Can you believe I've been doing this competition for 8 weeks?
Yeah, it goes by fast, huh?
Really fast.
Yeah.
I mean, the traveling and stuff doesn't help.
Right. 2 months. Wow. That's all right.
But it was a dramatic night, Shablammers. Okay. I mean, as Project Drag usually is.
It is. There's always some drama in a drag competition, but especially this one, it seems to be.
I've been sworn to a specific duty as the host of this podcast that I will always be truthful.
Yes.
And I feel like I've done a pretty good job at that thus far. And Shablammers, it's okay to disagree, but you have to respect that I'm telling the truth, no shade.
That's fair. Yes.
So as I talk about this challenge, know that everything I'm about to say is my opinion. I said I felt.
It's her opinion.
How do you know what's good for me? But yeah, it was a rough night.
Okay, so girl groups. So there were
3
9
teams.
of you left.
9 of us left. 3 teams of 3.
3 teams of 3. You each had to do 2 numbers, and Tony requested that they were at least 6 minutes long.
Yes.
So that's a lot of work in a week. You have to find the time to rehearse, not just with one person, but work out schedules with 3 busy drag queens.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to do 2 separate looks that are cohesive as a girl group.
Mm-hmm.
Created from scratch, basically, right?
And let me add that one of these looks, we were sponsored by the Drag Stop this week. So, hey, Chad from the Drag Stop, if you're watching, thanks for being a guest judge and thanks for all your kind words. He loved me.
Of course. Come sponsor our podcast, Drag Stop.
Oh, wait, actually, that'd be a great idea.
I'm wearing your pads right now.
I actually wonder if the Drag Stop would be down to maybe sponsor us.
Maybe.
We should mention.
All right.
But we were provided fabric from the Drag Stop, and one of our looks for one of the numbers had to be made with fabric provided by the Drag Stop.
Right. Okay.
So that was also figuring out like 2 coordinating girl group like looks for 2 separate numbers, but one of them had to be made with a specific set of fabric.
Right.
And it had to be like cohesive. So that was like also like a job. You know what I mean?
Was the fabric assigned, or did you all got to pick that, or what?
The fabric was, we got to pick.
Okay. That's nice.
That was how we split the teams.
Oh, right.
It's like
okay,
everyone kind of got to choose what fabric they wanted.
Okay.
But it was like 3 per fabric. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So my group was with Ty Tees, who has been in the lead, basically.
The top. She's been in the top every week.
She's been in the top, except for this week.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Maybe a little bit of a spoiler. But yeah, Ty, who's been a front runner, and Katrina, who has had a tumultuous run, but it's a mixed bag. She's been on the bottom a couple times. She's definitely had to lip sync before.
Oh, yeah.
But she's also been in the top. So she's you know, she's been pretty up and down.
Yep. And you each had to do 2 different genres of music. So what genres did you have?
So we were assigned the Feral fabric that is from the Feral collection of Drag Stop. The Drag Stop like releases these collections, and these fabrics were from different collections. So we got the Feral collection, which meant that we had to do a rock and roll number with that selection of fabric, and then we had to do a disco number as our second number. And we just had to pull stuff from our closets that looked cohesive. So I wore this dress. This was my disco dress. Not the same hair, but
I'm in a little disco number too.
Yeah. It was a challenge. It was really, really difficult. I'm really blessed that I got paired up with Ty and Katrina. Ty and Katrina, if you're watching, hey girls, loved working with you. But it was hard. I mean, like 3 drag queens, it's big personalities. We all have like a lot of ideas about what we want to do to make sure that we win. And sometimes we were at odds with each other, and it's difficult to pair 3 different drag aesthetics into something that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
you're also competing against each other. So you want to
stand
them,
out.
but you want to be in a group, but you also want to,
So yeah, and all 3 of us were super busy. So it was difficult to get together for rehearsals. So we basically ended up like making these mixes and touching base about costumes and hair and everything like over the course of the week, but we didn't really get a rehearsal in until Monday, the day of.
Whoa, that's stressful.
So we got together like early on Monday and we just rehearsed like for 4 hours during the day and just got like busted it all out. And I think for what it's worth, we actually did a pretty good job. We definitely forgot a couple things, some parts got messy, but I watched footage of the other numbers and that was a chronic thing happening across basically all 3 groups.
Yeah. I wish like you said, I don't know if we said this on the podcast or offline, but you said you wish they would have had you all do just one girl group and then individual numbers.
I feel like that would have made for a better show.
I think so.
I think it was a little, it was
more manageable.
It was a lot more it would have been a lot more manageable. And I'm not going to lie, like the show itself was a little messy because we were stretched really thin and we were incredibly rushed. Not only during the week leading up, but the night of the show as well. It was the turnaround time between like our first and our second number because there were only 2 numbers before we had to get back on stage was actually really fast and really, really difficult. And by the time we got out on stage, people's wigs were slipping. Someone got hurt, unfortunately.
Oh no, who?
I'll get into that. But, you know, people's costumes not sitting correctly. And it was all because we were rushed. And it was all because we didn't have time to like properly glue down our wigs and like properly put on our nails. And
oftentimes in a drag show, you don't have a lot of time in between numbers, but you were dealing with extra stuff. It's a competition setting, so the stakes are already way higher.
We were like, I think people were like changing their makeup. They were changing their hair completely, so they would take it off, re-glue. You know what I mean? And then, in addition to changing in and out of these outfits, and then worrying about 3 people instead of just yourself. You know what I mean?
And rehearsing.
Yeah. It was just, and then I just remember like we were getting ready for our second number, and Tony came backstage and was like, "Okay, like, are you ready to go? Like, next group, are you ready to go?" And we literally had to be like, "No, we're not ready."
Yeah,
like,
because there were only 6 numbers technically, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like. You know, in theory, yes, like you only have like 3 numbers or something until you have to get back on stage. I'm talking like it was us for 12 minutes, 2 more numbers that were like 5 minutes each. And then we had to be ready to go back on stage. So it was like a total turnaround time of like 10, 15 minutes.
So the other 2 teams didn't listen to the 6-minute minimum rule.
Well, they did, I think, but I think they got right to like 6 minutes. They kept it on the shorter side. My team did like a longer mix that was like 12 minutes.
Got it. Okay.
So it was hard. It was fun, but it was hard.
Yes.
The winning team was SB, Alexa, and Devos.
Okay, and what genres did they have?
They had disco and hip hop.
You had disco too?
Yes, we were sharing genres.
Oh, okay.
We were sharing genres. Disco and hip hop. And then the last group had to do rock and roll and hip hop.
Oh, wow. Okay. You were lucky you didn't have to do hip hop.
Oh, I'm very lucky that I didn't have to do hip hop. Imagine the world in which Lorelei had to do hip hop.
Wow.
No shame.
Okay, I did say I thought you could lip sync pretty much any genre, but maybe not hip hop.
I don't want no scrub. Scrub is the guy that can get no
TLC
love from
is not
me.
hip hop.
Okay, well tell Berlin's group that because they did TLC, but they were also in the bottom. No shame.
Oh, okay. I was like TLC. That's like R&B, maybe. That's like pop.
Yeah,
that's not hip-hop.
Yeah. That was like the difficult part about it. Is
okay,
it wasn't really technically hip hop.
Did they get that note?
I don't know if they got that note.
Yeah.
We got notes as individuals. So this is something else that I want to talk about for the Shablammers. And this is a little bit of drama for those of you who are not there for Project Drag. But there's a judge at this show, Kalista.
Oh, Kalista Stage, the winner of my season of Project Drag.
We've spoken about her before.
Many times.
She's obsessed with giving me critique for some reason. And even though my team was safe and we were allowed to lead the stage, she could not help herself but throw a couple of Lorelei strays into the critiques. So as she was talking to Vex about how she could see her padding like through her tights,
yes,
she doesn't hesitate to say, and I know Lorelei is back there somewhere too, and I could see her pads too. Me like this. Now what'd I do?
Everyone in the audience turned around to look at you.
All the audience went to turn around and look at me. I went, now why am I in it? I'm there sitting in the back in my flats, by the way.
Oops.
Because I was like, well, I'm safe. Let me get out of my heels, no shade. I'm not going to be lip syncing. I'm standing in the back. Bitch, I'm already on the patio. I'm lighting up a joint. I'm good. Once I'm safe, the show is over for me. So imagine my surprise when I get thrown into it. And then not only once, but she mentions me twice. This bitch mentions me twice. And she goes, she's talking about Selena, and I guess Selena's wig was falling back during her number.
Okay.
And she was saying like, y'all need to pin in these wigs. Y'all need to like make sure they're on. Lorelei's wig was coming off too. Me like this. Should I get back on stage? Is there anything else you wanted to mention? Because not once, but twice now.
Yeah.
It was, I totally agree with the critique. I mean, to be honest, my pads were whack and my wig did fall off. And this is what I was saying though about us being rushed. It's like, I didn't have the proper time to like go and like make sure. And it was, we're getting into the summertime here in Los Angeles.
It's hot.
It's hot. No air conditioning in this dressing room. People are sweating. I'm wearing this, God bless the drag stop, but that fabric that they gave us was completely unbreathable.
And plus when you're in pads, welcome to my world. It's warmer, no?
It is warmer, no shade. I don't know how all you girls do it with your pads. I tried my best. I'm not a pad girl, so I understand the critique of like being able to see the pads through the tights. Totally get that.
Yeah.
My wig did come off, and I hate when that happens. And I knew after my first number when that happened, I was like, I was so. We should bleep those, but I was like, that was really annoying. To be honest, I don't really feel like I've had a week since winning at Project Drag where nothing goes wrong. I always feel like I always have some malfunction, like a costume malfunction or a wig malfunction. So when that happened, I was like, why did this happen again? And it only happens every week. So I'm only as good as my last performance. You know what I mean? So it's a little frustrating because I know I can do better. And that upset me. So I understand the critique.
Yeah.
I think the thing that made me feel uncomfortable was when people are on stage and they get critiques, they get the benefit of being able to hear something positive and negative. So they'll be like, you had great energy, but your performance was this. Or like, you look great, but it was this. You know what I mean? I wish that I at least got the opportunity to stay on stage and have her just directly like address me because first of all, like I feel like as a contestant that I deserve that respect. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I think we all do. Like we're all doing it for free in theory. You know what I mean? Unless we win, then we get like a little bit of a cash prize. But every Monday, like I'm flying back from this fucking tour that I'm doing to like come and like be there. And like I don't expect them to be easy on me. And I don't expect them to be like gentle on me or like, but I do think that if they have something to say that I should be on stage to receive it. Because I think that the audience should get an opportunity to see me accept the critique and take it graciously. And I felt when it was said about me in that way and I was already off the stage and I was in the back of the room, feeling the audience like turn around and look at me was really uncomfortable. And it wasn't even that I was mad at the critique because she's 100% right. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, I shouldn't have received that critique. That's not what I'm saying at all. In fact, I've been safe so often that I get dismissed from the stage for most critique. And I wish that wasn't the case. I wish I got to stay on stage more often to hear feedback because it matters going into like the finale that I'm doing what they want. So that's all. It's like, I just wish that it was given to me on stage. If they wanted to make my whole team safe and be like, you're all safe, but Lorelei, stay on stage for a minute because like we have some notes for you.
Yeah, she could.
I would even take that. Like, you know what I mean? But
she could have easily, even as you were all like announced you're safe, you're walking off. She could have been like, "Hey, Lorelei," and you turn around, this and this.
Yeah,
like I don't think she did it necessarily in a malicious way,
she likes
or like
me.
with malicious intent.
No,
but it is a little shady to be like, especially twice.
It kind of felt like she was doing it because she can, and I think that that's there's a line between like judge and contestant. Obviously, like she can because she's a judge and it's her job to give critique. But what she should do and what any judge should do, and this isn't Kalista specifically, it's anyone, is like if you're going to give critique and you're going to give it to everybody, just make sure it's on the stage, I think. I think that's only fair. You know what I mean? Once I'm off the stage, like let me be off the stage.
Or maybe even tell you, like pull you aside and be like, hey, I would have said this.
Which they also do. They pull people aside all the time. And if she wanted to be like, Lorelei, like the reason why your group didn't win is because your wig fell off and your pads are fucked. If she wanted to tell me that, I would be so okay with that. But either let's have a combo one-on-one or say it to me on the stage. That's fine.
I think that's fair.
You know what I mean? So,
well, hopefully moving forward, that is the case.
I can tell that she likes me. Yeah. I know that she likes me. And I know that she wouldn't have mentioned my name like that unless she did like me. Because I don't think that she would have thrown it out there unless she actually like gave a fuck about me doing better. You know what I mean? If she thought that I was like a lost cause and that I was never going to make it to the end, she would never say that. Yeah. So I do believe that she likes me because she also talked to me in the dressing room afterwards and I got to kind of like pick her brain a little bit. To be fair, I was wearing these pads with like 4 pairs of tights and a fishnet. And she goes, okay, 6 pairs of tights. I went, heard.
Yeah.
Got it, mother. Like,
yeah. I mean, sometimes you got to do it, especially with like stage lights and stuff. I totally get it. It's hard to see. Yeah.
I totally get it. But you know what?
What?
She posted on her Instagram story today selling a couple of wigs.
Oh.
I DM'd that bitch. I said, how much? And she told me the price. I bought one of those wigs. And I'm going to wear that fucking wig to Project Drag No Shade. And I'm going to show my mother what it looks like to be a stage no shade.
Hey, will you wear it to the podcast so the Shablammers can see it next week?
Well, after I wear it on the stage for Project Drag, of course.
You want us to be fresh. I see.
Yes.
Okay. So real quick, who won? Did we say who won and who went at home?
So yeah, we said who won. It was Alexa, SB, and Devos, and then in the bottom was Berlin, Selena, and Vex,
and they all had to lip
sync. And then they sent Vex home, which was really disappointing. To be honest, I don't think that she deserved to go home, and this is what I was talking about earlier when I said apparently it doesn't matter if we know the words now. Berlin did not know her words, and I am not going to be nice about this girl anymore. I'm just not. Okay, I feel like there have been a lot of exceptions given to her in this competition, and I'm not really quite sure why. I think we talked about it when we talked about her moment. I would never invite someone back after acting like that. And knowing what I know now, it's not appropriate for me to spill over Shablam, unfortunately. But knowing what I know now about some inside stuff in Project Drag, I don't think she should be there.
I mean, Shablammers, you know how I feel about Berlin and the state of her in that competition. Also, I've heard some things about what her friends are doing in the audience.
That's what I was going to talk about. But I don't want to speak on behalf of her friends because her friends are not in the competition.
Well, but still, if that's... Anyway.
It's not good sportsmanship.
No.
Be a good sport, especially in a drag competition. What are you doing acting like that in a drag? Look at us.
Hello?
Look at us and look at you.
Come on.
Why are you not like having a good time and being a good sport?
Literally. But that was on the judges, though. If the judges, if they're choosing who wins the final lip sync, they didn't notice that she didn't know the words or what? You think she's getting a pass? What was the song?
Body Language by Heidi Montag.
Okay.
Not a huge banger. Not hard to learn necessarily. I think they probably just didn't expect to be in the bottom. So they probably didn't prepare as much time on like actually like learning the lip sync and stuff.
Oh my God. You always have to know the lip sync. I've told you this. Learn all of those songs. You never know if they're going to throw a wrench into it. They might have the top 2 lip sync ones, which they did last week, didn't they?
Yeah, they've had the top 2 lip sync before, so you never know.
Learn those words.
To be fair, I have and I'm running a record right now. There's only 2 girls in the competition who have never been in the bottom, and I'm one of them.
Okay. Have you been ready to lip sync if you had to be?
Some weeks yes, and some weeks no.
Okay, because that's what happened. Everyone thought Hershey was going to win our season. Everyone thought Hershey was going to win. Mm-hmm. She got in the bottom one week unexpectedly, and she didn't know the words against a lip sync with Joella. Lip sync for your life.
Wow. That's a combo.
Hershey did not know the words. Hershey went home. Everyone was gagged, and it was like week 3 or 4. It was early. Yeah. So, always know your words, Shablammers.
Always know your words.
Okay, so, but the judges didn't, obviously, they didn't care, or did Vex
not know her words? It was really noticeable.
Either?
I don't know what the decision-making was. Maybe they all didn't know their words, so at that point it was like splitting hairs, but it was just very obvious to me that people were talking about it.
If they all didn't know their words, then the only thing I could think to save Berlin is because she's had a win.
Probably.
But
I wasn't really watching super closely. I just know that a lot of people in the dressing room were talking about that.
Yeah.
And it was mentioned in our group chat too.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like a drag competition. It's never going to be like fair.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of something I've been learning as I've been kind of going through it. Is like I think I want a very even stage for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that it's just not that way.
No.
Not that it's unfair. It's not rigged and it's not unfair, but there are biases and there are implicit biases in like the type of drag that people gravitate to.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, artists
circumstances of a given night, especially something like drag where it's like we're lip syncing songs from other people. It could be like, I don't like your look. I don't like the song.
Right.
I don't like your hair.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts with drag, I think. So it makes drag competitions really difficult. And I'm sure you can garner that from watching something like Drag Race even, you know? So it's been an interesting experience so far. I don't think it's an unfair competition.
Yeah.
It's not as much of an even playing field as I think I anticipated it being.
Right. Because it is at least a little more even playing than audience vote.
It is way more even.
So,
I mean, in that sense, in the sense that there's a consistent factor of the same judges every single time, definitely a lot more even. It's probably, and that's why I did it, is because it seems to me to be one of the most even drag competitions.
I would agree.
You know what I mean? Even if it's the least bad of a worst group or whatever, you know what I mean? To me, it still feels like there's at least enough consistent variables week to week that us like crossing our legs at the same time. There's enough consistent variables week to week that it makes it feel like it's worth it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I still feel that way. And I'm excited. I'm excited to be in the finale, bitch.
Hey.
I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to be in that fucking finale, no shade. And there is still a possibility of a Lorelei win. So
of course, any of you could win.
Yeah, don't give up on me yet, Shablammers.
They won't. My season, one of the head judges' drag daughters was in the competition. So let's talk about fair. Okay, we can get into that later.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you just kind of have to like,
you have to take it for what it is.
Exactly.
And I'm learning that more and more to just kind of take it for what it is and be like, okay, damn. You know?
Yeah.
And also just like learning, like I still have a lot to learn, which is humbling. You know, like I've been doing drag for 8 years and obviously there's still shit that happens to me that like I can't, I just have to learn from. I just kind of have to take it on the chin and be like, you know what? Like that was fucked up or I fucked up on this. And like when you're under a microscope like that and you're playing to judges, it's a little bit of a blow to your ego, I think. You know what I mean? To be like, fuck, like I could have done better, you know?
Right.
But it's also a really great learning opportunity. And I'm hoping that in this final section of the competition, I've gotten out every single mistake that could possibly happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like golden for the rest of the way.
Onward and upward. I think TV personalities is going to be a really good week for you.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. But speaking of drag and drag competitions, we have about 5 minutes left to talk about our topic. You ready?
Our topic of the week is
RuPaul's Drag You.
Drag you, whatever you be. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
That was the theme song. That was kind of a... Oh, did you even watch the episode, bitch?
I watched the episodes, but I don't recognize that song. I only recognize it in RuPaul's voice.
For those of you who are unfamiliar...
Yes, I had never seen an episode.
There are a plethora of spinoffs, actually, from the Drag Race franchise. But one of the very first spinoffs that they ever attempted was a show called RuPaul's Drag You. It was almost... I realized this as I was watching it. I feel like it was almost the beta program for what is now Celebrity Drag Race.
Oh, yes. I was thinking that too. It's very queer eye for the straight guy type vibe.
It so is. That's a great point too.
Yeah. It came out in 2010. It premiered. So that was like
right after season 2.
I was going to say
right after season 2 of Drag Race.
Yeah. It lasted 3 seasons, went until 2012, I think. And the premise of it is they would get cis women, 3 different women every episode who would get basically drag makeovers.
Yeah, and it was themed every episode. Yeah. So there was like moms versus daughters. There's like women in uniform. And the first episode, which we will dive into as our example episode.
The premiere, if you will.
Was a tomboy episode. Which
very binary.
I was going to say, it's such an interesting time capsule because it's really indicative of what I feel like Drag Race was trying to do at the time. And where Drag Race is now has changed so much with the politics of like gender, the sociopolitics,
the language around
gender, and language around drag, like what drag even is, you know what I mean? So it almost had this vibe of like saving women, that picture perfect woman. Not all drag is like that, but like that standard like female impersonation that like drag queens go for, where they try to be like the most glam possible.
Very Drag Race at that time.
The idea was like getting these women and like reconnecting them with like this part of themselves that is implicit in them because they are women, which I don't necessarily agree with.
Well, it was very interesting to me because it was almost like a therapy session, but conducted by drag queens who have no really training in that.
Watching the episode 2, I don't even think the drag queens knew really like what to make of it. Well,
they probably were like, come to the WoW basement, we're gonna film this.
Well, what it was is that they would bring in, so it was right after season 2. Okay. So it would go season 2, season 3, season 4.
Right.
And then they would do a Drag U season after each of those Drag Race seasons.
Oh, okay. I thought they were back.
So it would go like season 2 of Drag Race, and then they dropped a Drag U season. And then they did season 3 of Drag Race, another Drag U season. It kind of alternated like that.
They had different casts of queens come in.
Every episode, I feel
Every episode. There was like a season 1 cast, and they would kind of rotate season 2 cast.
But they would always bring back like fan favorites of like the series. So they brought back like Raven.
Jujubee was in a lot of them.
Jujubee was in a lot of them. Ongina was in a lot of them.
Morgan McMichaels is in a lot of the LA girls, to be honest.
Yeah, to be honest.
Yeah.
Delta.
Chanel was in a lot.
Chanel. And they even brought in Willem.
Pandora. Yeah, Willem was in
which is a funny throwback because I don't feel like World of Wonder would ever do anything with Willem now.
I watched that episode.
But... yeah, that was a funny throwback. Being like, wow, seeing Willem up there is so funny. But yeah, so they would bring back people who did well on their seasons, but didn't win, and they were kind of like fan favorites.
They did bring back some winners, like BB, I think, was there at some point.
Yeah.
Did you watch it in real time? Do you remember watching it?
I remember watching it like in real time. And I remember watching the famous ring fight between Jujubee and Raven. Where she goes, is that my ring? Raven? I've been looking for that. Yeah. I do that with people sometimes. I'll like, because drag queens, we like pick up each other's shit all the time. And so sometimes like Annie will be like, oh, is this yours? Like I found this in my bag. And I'll go, Annie, I was looking for that. And it was a fight between Jujubee and Raven, and it's Jujubee's ploy of stealing Raven's ring.
Yeah, those two are like hiding each other's wigs because they're competing against each other, kind of. It's basically like a makeover episode of Drag Race, but these women are there for 2 days, 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
They
get paired up with
a queen. They get put into this thing called a Dragulator.
Which is hilarious, by the way.
It's like early AI, to be honest.
It's literally early AI. They like figured out this algorithm where they like will put a picture of the woman into it and it will spit out like an AI generated image of this woman in drag, but
with a drag name, complete with a drag name.
And there was actually an app you could use when it first came out. I remember there was an app you could use and you could go in and like dragify yourself.
Did you?
Of course.
Oh.
But
that's fun.
They add like the drag eye and like a huge lip and they add like a huge wig on top. It was so funny, but it's like AI generated. And the idea was to match up that look as much as possible. So whatever the Dragulator gave you. I feel like they started on that, but then it became less like strict. But
it was very school. So everything was like, instead of a GPA, it was a DPA, the drag point average. And you get points based on, the D was like,
it was D was drag transformation, P was for performance, and A was for attitude adjustment. Attitude change. Like, did they have the biggest attitude change? Mm-hmm. So they would bring in these women like they were fucking like. You ever see those commercials for those games where it's like a woman, she like smells bad and has like armpit hair and you have to like shave her or like clean her. You know what I mean? I'm like, Shablammers, if you know what I'm talking about, leave a comment down below. Maybe Annie is not chronically online enough to like know what I'm talking about, but they were treating these women like they pulled them from the fucking dump. And they were like, we are going to fucking like turn your life around by getting you in drag because you are a haggard bitch right now. But just wait until I get you in drag, mama. Like, they were treating these women like they had nothing going for them.
Well, the women themselves were like, that's why I was saying it was like therapy, because some of the women, the first episode, as we said, were tomboys. So we can even get into that. But one of them was like, hadn't had sex with her husband in 2 years. She was doing this to kind of like reignite her
like sexuality,
love life. The other one was like,
if you're not comfortable talking about SA or you don't want to hear about SA, maybe skip this part of the section just because it is mentioned in the Drag U episodes. So if you're not comfortable with that, maybe just jump ahead a few minutes. But yes, there's a woman on there who talks about how she's nervous to dress feminine because she had once gone SA'd.
So sad.
That was a huge bummer to listen to. And then
but just like dropped in like the workroom, like they just met.
Yeah, it was packaged in a strange way.
Yeah, Angina was like, how often do you sleep with your husband? Nice to meet you. And then we're like talking about SA, like I'm like, oh wow, this is a lot.
Yeah, it was definitely of a different time. And then one woman was like talking about how her son basically didn't think that she was pretty like the other moms.
All her kids' friends were like, why isn't your mom pretty? Like they thought she was like, they would call her a lesbian as if that's a bad thing.
I know. Like, it was such a weird, it was just such a it was a really weird time capsule. I'm not gonna lie.
It was strange.
But they would turn these women around in drag and they would have to go out there and on the runway.
Oh, Lady Bunny was a recurring like judge. She was the dean of drag.
Yes.
So it's fun to see Lady Bunny. I didn't know she was like a regular character on there.
And it only like lasted 3 seasons for her. Poor thing.
But also like they would come out in drag after their makeover and like walk the runway and they would get critiques from the judges and they would literally hold up paddles with like a grade score. So they would tell their like sob stories and be like, oh, I feel so powerful and beautiful in this. And then Lady Bunny would be like, oh, well, you tripped on your heel. I'm giving you a C. So they have like a grade point average of like 2.5. I'm like, why are they doing this now? They just told they're like how powerful and pretty they feel.
It's so, it was a really cursed format. I'm not going to lie. And there's that one moment in season 7 of Drag Race where it gets like alluded to because they don't, it's almost like almost completely erased from media history. Like they don't ever reference it. They don't ever talk about it.
No.
It is available to stream on Wow Presents Plus, but it's not something that is like often mentioned, except for one time in season 7, Ginger's team mentioned it in their parody song challenge. They had to write like song parodies of RuPaul songs, and they mentioned Drag U being like, except for Drag U, girl, that really was a rough spot. And RuPaul stops them and goes, wait, sorry, what was that?
She got offended.
And Kennedy goes, girl, that really was a rough spot. And RuPaul puts on this like, you know, was really one of the highlights of my career.
Yeah,
Changed a lot of lives. Which is like the best. That's a meme of RuPaul being like, it changed a lot of lives.
But I can see how the show like could change people's lives. I mean, it's like a makeover show. So how I'd be curious to see any of those 3 women from the first episode, what they're up to.
Oh,
maybe I'll look.
That would have been a really good. Research assignment is figuring out what any of these women were up to now.
Yeah, so one person who has the highest DPA, wins the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a cash prize the first season. I think the second season, for some reason, they had a cash prize of a really random number. It was like $3,111.66. Like, I was like, I don't get that reference, maybe, but
it's like enough to give them like room for taxes.
Yeah, exactly. So even $2,500 or something. But
yeah,
and then the winner, of the first season, I think gets a hotel or something in Palm Springs.
Yeah, right. They got like some stay or something. But there were a lot of reality TV components that were kind of like shoehorned into it. Like they tried to make like drag drama between like the drag professors and stuff, like stealing each other's shit or like
everything was branded. They're like, oh, you should try on these drag stop pads. That's not what it is. Or like, look at this fabric wall by Fabric Planet. Or the first season they had wigs from Wilshire Wigs.
Yes.
Which is like a wig shop on Wilshire Boulevard. It's so funny. But every little thing was like
sponsored.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ru never appears in drag.
In fact, there's a very rare form of RuPaul that appears with a mustache.
Oh, yes.
And he's like almost like the dean of this university.
Yeah.
And his character has a mustache.
Yep.
That was kind of an interesting time.
Mm-hmm. Is that Lorelei coded?
It's very like Lorelei coded.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, because I've never done it on Shablam.
You have not? No.
I've been mustache sober on Shablam, but I used to do drag for probably like
a long time.
3 years, 3-4 years. Do it with a mustache.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like the premier mustache queen.
You were. Shade. Have you noticed if any of the people who started doing mustaches after you, if they kept it up?
They kind of kept it up?
Or did they stop it when you stopped?
Shout out to Gouda Legrand.
Oh!
Gouda Legrand is a mustache queen here in LA.
Yes.
Who's pretty funny and really hot out of drag. And he has a mustache.
Oh.
But notice how I said he.
Oh.
And
Butter.
Butter has a beard. Butter has a beard.
And a mustache, no?
And
we don't have a lot of bearded queens in LA.
We don't, not anymore. We used to. There was kind of like a time. When was that? Oh, Cruella Brazil. Cruella Brazil
has a mustache. Yes. Very cute. Very cute out of drag too.
Yes. If you were on Drag U, who would you want your drag professor to be?
Ooh, good question. Morgan actually was giving some really good advice.
Yeah.
I liked Morgan, how she was performing on Drag U. Huh. I love Jujubee. Willem would actually be kind of fun because I like Willem's style a lot. So I'd like to see how she did me up. I don't know. Who do you?
Well, obviously Kalista Stage.
Oh, I didn't know Kalista was on Drag U. I must have missed that episode.
But I guess if I couldn't choose my own mother, of course.
Yes.
I would probably choose... I mean, Raven would be the best in terms of aesthetic.
Yeah, Raven is... I would love to...
Like makeup and stuff. Like I feel like I could learn a thing or two from Raven.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like Raven would paint me probably like 5 shades darker than I actually am.
Probably.
But I'm sure we could figure it out.
Yeah, Raven would be a good one.
So yeah, it was an interesting watch. And I feel like the way I want to wrap this up is like we've had like this conversation before about like what drag does for us and like why we do drag the way that we do. And like, of course, like I think you and I have the same goal, which is like we want to feel cunt, right? Yeah. And we have different methods of getting there.
Yes, we talked about this.
And we talked about this, like you like to have like the corset and the pads and like that gives you the cunt factor. And for me, like I like the realness of like people seeing my skin and like showing like my body and then being like, oh my God, that's like a real body in front of me. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I think like people are used to that. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing that like gives me that cunt factor. And it's funny, like this show was so geared towards like female impersonation. They would give them these huge pads and like the little corset and be like, don't you feel glamorous? Don't you feel feminine? And it's almost them being like, sure, you know what I mean?
They have to say it for the camera, like they're under duress.
And you can tell sometimes that like they feel crazy. They feel like birthday clowns. And they have to be like, I'm totally reconnected with my femininity. And it's like, I don't know about that.
Because there's a competition aspect too. So if they're like, no, I feel like I look ridiculous, they're not going to win.
Yes.
So I wish it was almost, they took the competition out and it was almost more of like a we're here type thing where they're just helping or a Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, where they're helping them just feel more glamorous.
I wish they brought in like their families with them, like the mom who was like, my son doesn't think I'm pretty. Like I wish that the
well,
son
they came to see them perform.
I know, but I feel like they should be. But like we're here, like the people around the person who's gets selected to perform is so involved.
Yeah,
I wish that maybe there was an element of that, but it was such an early beta thing, and I feel like it's kind of what gave them the idea to move into something like
celebrity,
secret celebrity.
Yeah. Because I watched an episode from season 2, I think, where they brought television or stars from the 80s to come back. So they were like celebrities.
Yeah, they always had like themed episodes and stuff.
Yeah. Would you recommend the Shablammers to check it out?
Yeah,
I'd say watch an episode or two if you're a fan of Drag Race and want to know more about the herstory.
You have to go into it knowing that it's really dated.
It's dated, but it is a very interesting moment in time.
Yes.
In drag, in the world.
For sure.
It would not exist like that today by any means.
No.
It couldn't.
No. Well, and I also feel like they can't even say, ladies, start your engines and may the best woman win anymore. Right. Not that they should. They say... Or no, they say they used to say, gentlemen, start your engines and may the best woman win. And now they say, racers, start your engines and may the best drag queen win. And part of that is because they've really expanded the definition of like who can do drag, what drag even is. Like some people don't consider it even female impersonation, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And
it's very like new wave and it's just very old school drag. You know what I mean?
Yes. Early days of Drag Race.
If you're interested in watching that, definitely do.
Check it out. But I think, anything else about it?
No, I feel like we've shablammed it.
I think we shablammed RuPaul's Drag You.
Shablammers, we're going to leave you on a little cliffhanger here.
Ooh.
Usually we would announce what topic we want to discuss at the end of this episode. But we would like you, Shablammers, to please leave a comment below.
Leave a comment below.
Text us, DM us, do whatever you need to do to send us what you want us to talk about.
Yes, we want to know, Shablammers.
And we will pick one lucky submission to be the topic that we talk about on next week's episode.
Ooh, I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
We will do research in real time.
Hello?
So if you have any ideas, anything at all, anything that pops into your head, no matter how specific, let us know.
Nothing is too big or too small to shablam. Remember that.
Remember that, honey.
Hello. And until next time, Shablammers, we'll see you. Thank you for joining us.
Mwah.
Mwah. We love you. Have fun.
Yes. Insert theme song here.